Hey, FlimsyLunchTray here, and welcome to World of Warships as we're back with our intermediate player guide video. And this is going to translate for beginner players, intermediate players, and veteran players in the game. With what I want to talk about today being a 21-point commander. So I was asked, it was probably 2 or maybe 3 weeks ago, I was asked by a viewer for about doing a video on advice on how to reach a 21-point commander. So I've just sat down for the last 15 plus minutes writing out categories for if you're a newer player in the game, if you're an intermediate player in the game, and a veteran player in the game. And so hopefully this translates well in that you find this information useful. Perhaps this video shouldn't even be in an intermediate player guide video. But I think it's okay to have it. So, as I was thinking out loud, so the wheels were turning slowly. So, let's talk about this. So first, what I need to actually mention is that for those who've been playing the game long enough, is that it used to be that 19 points was the cap. 19-point commanders was the ceiling. And then in the commander rework of 10.0, which was bit of a travesty, and Wargaming was had to do 3 or 4 different commander reworks after that rework to get things better, and then we received 21-point commanders, and for the most part it still takes a 21-point commander to get a 19-point commander build, as you did before. So they didn't really diversify too much in the game, as they just revalued different skills. You know, some skills that like priority target used to be a 1-point skill, and then it became a 2-point skill. So then to get the same build, it was the same to get as a 19-point to 21 points. So I just started off with gearing here. So this was my first tier 10 ship in the game, and it was the first ship in which I reached a 19-point commander in. So I'm going to categorize this below. So I'm about to talk about, for those of you who are beginner players, newer players, and then I'll have a section for intermediate players, and then I'll have a section for veteran players, and I'll talk more about that then. So as a newer player in the game of World of Warships, it's going to be very difficult for you in reaching a 21-point commander. It used to be, let's see if I can back up here. Let me find a commander that's not 19 point yet. So here you can see to get to a 19-point commander, in total it was just 300,000. And then to go from to a 19 point to a 21 point, it was 500,000. And then for a 20-point commander, I wonder if I have one laying around here in the Americans. I don't think I do. No, I do. You have right here in Illinois. But he should be, yeah, 700,000. So then 500,000 plus 700,000. So that's 1.2 million Elite Commander XP. And before, you know, if you know, 18 to get from 18 to 19 was just 300,000, and then for example a 17-point commander to get to an 18, you know, 259,000. So they really increased the ceiling significantly for players in the game when Wargaming decided to go from a 19 point to 21 points. So a lot of veteran players in the game, all of a sudden, you know, they had so many ships at 19 points, and then now they had to regrind all the ships to get to 21-point commander to get the same build that they had as a 19-point commander. So if you're a newer player in the game, it's tough to say this, but it's going to take you a while. So let's say, you know, you're playing more, you know, let's play more example of like a lower tier ship, right? So let's say maybe you're playing along with Clemson, you've got the Nicholas, you know, you're playing the tier 4 to tier 5 ships. Again, it's gonna take you time essentially, and you need to focus your resources into one commander to get to the 21 points first, is what I would say. So for myself, it was the American Destroyer line. So this was the first line I grinded through the tech tree to get to gearing, and just from that grind, I played a lot of games through all these ships because I didn't have these, you know, great sweet economic bonuses to be able to help me get to gearing faster or to 21-point commanders fast. You know, as he still sits at 19 points because I haven't finished I haven't taken the time to grind him up to 21 point yet. Try to focus on just the one commander and playing one ship line. So if you have your one commander, and you're moving him from ship to ship. When you have to retrain him, let's say you're going from Benson to Fletcher. He's a 17 point commander. It is going to cost you to move him around, of course, from ship to ship. So as you go up the line, what I try to do is just utilize Elite Commander XP. I'm trying to find, maybe there's a prompting, but I have ships of all that. So for example, if I wanted to, apparently I have them on a different one. If I wanted to bring Vladivostok, let's do that. If I want to bring my 6 point commander over, right? 6 points, it's only cost me 3,500. If I want to bring over a 15 point commander, it's going to cost me 50,000 Elite Commander XP. I really try, you can also do the free training, but this is you have to earn the 50,000, the penalize the 50,000 Commander XP by playing, which means you get no use of your skills in that time zone. So you really want to have your skills active. So you utilize Elite Commander XP only for the retraining the commander as you move him up the line. Don't use him, your Elite Commander XP, just to get you to the next point, because you want to save up your Elite Commander XP you're earning as you grind up the line. So as you move up, as we go back to the American Destroyer line, so as you move up this line, you're just using your Elite Commander XP to move him from your commander from ship to ship to ship. You're not using Elite Commander XP just to buff you up to that 9 point to 10 point commander or 12 point to 13 point commander, because then otherwise you get penalized. You don't get any utilization of your commander skills if you're doing the training period, or there's something else on my mind with that, or you have to spend doubloons, right? And I try to hang on to my doubloons. It doesn't matter too much to me. I would say I'm more between an intermediate veteran player in the game, but I still try to avoid utilizing doubloons when possible. And then after you've reached, so after you've reached up here to gearing, let's say you're still at a 19 point commander, keep playing gearing more, utilizing your resources, right? So then I would, if you have them, utilizing Elite Commander XP, the economic rare expendable bonus. As you can see, I only have 39 because I'm working on multiple commanders right now to 21 point. So just keep using them. I usually only use the blues on the ships that I feel pretty comfortable with when I'm grinding up a commander. Otherwise, just utilize your 100 to 200%. And as you play longer in the game, of course, it'll become a little more natural for you. But focus on building up a 21 point commander for one line first. So if, let's say you did American Destroyers or you did the British Destroyers, that's also, I recommend, if you're a new player, grind the British Destroyer line first. It's great for several reasons, and I won't go into too depth on that because then this video will get really long. And then once you've grinded up a one line of destroyers, or whatever ship class you want to play, once you reach that 21 point commander, then switch it up. Now you want to work on building let's say you want to do a battleship commander, right? So then you decide, I want to play up the British battleships, and then you bring that 3 point commander or whatever he may be, and you start working him up all the way till you get to Conqueror and reaching a 21 point commander. It's important as an early player that you're not just playing one ship class all the time, destroyer, 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 or battleship, 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 because that means all your higher point commanders are only on destroyers, and you don't have any trained up for a battleship build, as an example, because then it's going to cost me to move my daring commander that I've built up to being cap. It's going to cost me a lot to move him to Conqueror, as an example, right? So I want to have a different commander designed for battleships. So as you do this, just try to be mindful of your resources, and if you have more specific questions as a newer player, please let me know in the comments, and I and maybe others in the community will try to give advice. But just so once you've done, like, let's say you've done a destroyer line, you do the battleship line, then maybe you go ahead and you switch over to a cruiser line, and then now you're building up a 21-point commander for your cruiser, and that's a very helpful way to go about this. As a newer player, I would say never use free XP, which I have very limited right now because I just picked up Hayate for 2 million free XP. But I would say never use free XP as a beginner player in building up your commander. So for example, if I went over to Edinburgh and I want to build, because I only have a 6-point commander on him, I don't play him too much. So I have over 500,000 elite commander XP. And then I'm going to exceed beyond. I wipe out my free XP. And as a newer player, you really want to hang on to your free XP, maybe to help you grind a line. Or for myself as a newer player, what I've been doing on my EU account, which I only have 1 tier 10 ship on right now, I've just been accumulating my free XP for later on. Like I have over 360,000, I think, and I only have 1 tier 10 ship, and I'm just building up the free XP. So as a newer player, I'd say just build up the free XP. I mean, if you want to use it here and there, being able to upgrade, you can, but don't. As a new player, I would avoid utilizing free XP in upgrading your commander. As a newer player, just take your time grinding. You don't want to rush through because you want to learn the basics of the different lines with your commander and not rush the learning experience. The longer it takes you going from a low tier to the high tier, the better, because you need a lot of battles at the mid tier, especially to get a really good handle when you start playing high tier. Another thing I would say is, as a newer player, is take advantage of premium ships with your commander. So I'm going to switch back to the American destroyers here. So one of the things I'm doing right now, as I utilized coal and I purchased the hill. So as I train up my American commander, I'm also utilizing that commander on the hill because it doesn't cost me anything to have the commander on here, which is probably Halsey. Yeah. So let's say I want to utilize gearing, right? This is a really good example. So let's say I decide I'm going to play a low tier game, or mid tier game, sorry. Then I'm working on gearing. So I can utilize gearing on my hill as a premium ship. Because one of the things that you have with your premium ships is you have the permanent bonus. And if you look below here, you can see Commander XP plus 50%. So you're getting an additional bonus on top of you can see it's at 265%. So that's very helpful. So actually, if I take this off, you see 50%. And then I have clan merits. So your clan, if they've invested a lot of resources into their naval base, you can see I get a plus 15% bonus also. So try to utilize the bonuses. So already 65%. Where on gearing, I don't have an economic bonus on. So I'm only going to get the stock 15%. So that little additional 15% on top of hill is going to be helpful. Maybe I'm playing a lower tier ship, so maybe not as much Commander XP experience as you'd get on the higher tier battles, but it helps, right? And then I'm going to go ahead and utilize my gearing commander here on hill. So move those commanders around on your premium ships. And some ships have even 100% economic bonus on them. So for example, I have to add cruisers in here because I saw it when I was looking at oh sorry, it's battleship I'm thinking about. I think it was on Illinois. So it's like 100% Commander XP bonus. I think maybe even Georgia I have it on. Let me look. Yeah, 100% economic bonus. So then, if I'm building up a 21-point build, 21-point commander, then for battleships, then I also want to try to utilize him on my premium battleships if I have it. But, I don't encourage just buying a ton of premium ships if you're a newer player. Take your time, figure out if this game is something you're going to really like and enjoy, but move that commander around on your premium ships. campaigns. I think this is the last particular mention I had if you're a newer player in the game. I'm gonna have to look here. I didn't look at this in advance, but sometimes some of these rewards, like the Science of Victory, they have here, Commander XP. You get 5 common expendable bonuses. So target the different campaigns that are going to give you the Commander expendable bonuses. But also, as you go up, there should be some that give you Elite Commander XP. So I'm really trying to find it here to give you an example. You can see more bonuses. Maybe we go up this high. But there are going to be some that are going to give you, like, let's say 1500 Elite Commander XP. You can see, we see credits there repeatedly. Because I'm working on some right now. Yeah, I have to look. But there are some of these campaigns that will give you different rewards. And some of them will not only be the Commander expendable bonuses, but also Elite Commander XP just outright. But I can't find them right now. But they're there, I promise. They're there. Okay, so let's go ahead and transition if you are an intermediate player. Okay, so for intermediate players, for you, it's going to be not a very difficult or quite difficult challenge, but it's going to be a modest challenge in terms of difficulty. So you just have to take, again, it's taking your time. It's being mindful of your resources. Some of the things I said similar for the newer players, right? It's probably not going to be as big of a deal for you with your commander because maybe you've been, as an intermediate player, you're accumulating more Elite Commander XP. You're accumulating a good amount of free XP. You have a good number of the economic bonuses. I would actually say for myself, I'm lower. Maybe saying it's more as a veteran player or becoming more of a veteran player in the game. But I had a lot more of these at one point, and there's different ways to earn more of these in the game. But because you can see that, some of these I have a lot more of. But I like to use my blues a lot because of just building up different resources in the game. So just you have to be mindful of your resources, utilizing them well. So I talked about like Commander XP. I would say as an intermediate player, it's more easy for you to utilize free XP. Wargaming is pretty much taking out all the free XP ships in the game. So for example, if I go to the tech tree, Hayate, that was a 2 million. If I go to Europe, you have, Groningen for 1 million free XP. If I go to Japan, you have the Azuma. It was for 1 million free XP. Germany, you had the Aegir. It was 1 million free XP. So there's several ships I picked up in the game for 1 million free XP. Like Alaska, it was just free XP. It's not even listed here because they've moved it out for free XP since. So it's probably going to be more easier for you to utilize on using some free XP if you decide to. Granted, it gives you the option. Doesn't give you the option. You have to use Elite Commander XP first before you even begin to utilize your free XP. So again, you just have to be mindful of that. I still kind of, in general, would suggest avoiding using free XP in reaching a 21-point commander. Just work on playing more of the premium ships you have in the game, which I'll talk a little bit more about, and playing more of those tier 10 ships, right? Or the ships that, as a beginner player and going into intermediate player, that you've achieved 21-point commanders on, which, of course, is going to take a lot of time. Even for intermediate players who are playing the game and the commander rework, bumping them up to higher. So actually, if I go to Japan, just like on my Yamato, right? So I have a 21-point here. So then if you play a commander that once he's hit 21 points, any commander XP you earn is immediately transferred into Elite Commander XP. So every time I play my Yamato, I play my Harugumo, these guys are instantly all commander XP they earn because they've reached Navy Elite goes into Elite Commander XP. So playing your 21-point commanders a lot is going to help build your Elite Commander XP up a ton, because I've been over 1 million repeatedly. I just dumped some points into the Hayate commander I have and building him up to a 16 point. So you can see I'm zeroed out there. So I can get him up to main battery and a specialist here. So then you can utilize more of your Elite Commander XP to begin maybe building up more of those particular commanders that you would like to utilize on specific ships more in the game. And what I would also say is, as an intermediate player, you can work on building up multiple 21-point commanders simultaneously, whereas a newer player, not so much. So if I keep up destroyers and then I add in Pan-Asian, so for example, I'm working on my Yu Yang. So he's a 19-point commander, but I need to get him to a 21-point. So then I'm going to be playing my Yu Yang. I'm going to hop over to... I can hop over to Hayate. I can hop over to Kitakaze. I have a 19-point commander on him. I can add gearing into the mix. Get back over here. Are we calling back? He's a 19-point commander. So then I can start to get in my destroyer vibes. If I have a couple sessions a week where I'm just playing my commanders on destroyers that I'm building up to a 21-point. There's some rhythm repetition there, right? So that makes it easier versus jumping out between the different classes. So maybe, tonight I'm going to work on building up my destroyer commanders, because a lot of them are going to play relatively similar for the most part. Some of them are going to have some variations, of course, versus jumping across different ship classes. You might find yourself more in a rhythm easily just to stick with one class in particular. So that's something you're going to want to do. And again, like for a newer player, you can take advantage of utilizing your premium ships, right? So if I'm working on my gearing, he's a 19-point commander. I have a different commander on my kid. I have Benjamin Blackwell, which I've trained for Massachusetts. So what I could do here is I could send him to the reserve. And then, because I'm working on gearing, I can assign gearing to Kid, because I play Kid a lot. It's one of my second favorite destroyer in the game. And then I can, while I'm playing Kid, and then I'm easily earning Commander XP here for the gearing commander, right? And then we hop back and we call him on gearing and play game in gearing. So utilize your premium ships. Also, as I talked about for the newer players, you go to your economic bonuses and you have the Commander XP. For your permanent ships, you get the permanent economic bonus, and so you can see Commander XP plus 50%. If I take this off, I also have a 15% for clan merits. There's going to be different ships in the game where the Commander these bonuses are going to be for ship XP, Commander XP, free XP are going to be plus 100%. Like for, again, if you were a newer player and you already clicked out and you skipped ahead towards for the intermediate player part, you didn't catch what I talked about for newer player. Illinois, you can see plus 100% for Commander XP. I can even go to Georgia. Permanent economic bonus has a plus 100%. So I think that's more standard for the tier 9 premium ships and up. Ohio is going to have plus 100% and more. So utilize your free or your premium ships, not free premium ships, but just your premium ships in the game that you pick up for coal and such as an example. So actually, if I go into the armory, I meant to do this for the newer players, but you can see how much resources you have, whether it be coal or steel. So let's say go to coal. If you're a newer player, right, if I actually, let me scroll all the way down to the bottom, you can see these different ships. For Hill, it's plus 15% additional with the permanent bonus, 38,000 coal. That's not too difficult to achieve as a newer player. Maybe more as an intermediate player, you begin picking up ships like, the the GK is pretty expensive, but let's say the Duke of York as an example, tier 7 British battleship, right? 1,000 coal, and then you get to utilize using your commander on the Duke of York, since it's free to move your tech tree commanders onto premium ships at no retraining cost. Another thing with working on multiple lines simultaneously or working on multiple commanders to reach 21 points simultaneously is also work on different nations. One of the differences once you go from being a beginner player to an intermediate player, you begin working on investing 21 point commanders for different nations. So then, for example, let me clear these others here. So for example, I'm more the Italian ships are a bit more newer to me. When I even look at the tech tree, I don't have them all yet because there's just so many ships to grind, especially when they keep adding new tech tree lines. But for myself, I don't really have I don't have any 21 point commanders in terms of the Italian trees, tech tree, right? So there's a lot of different things I have to think about. So now I'm working on, I picked up Luigi Sansonetti, which you get via the collection, and you do so by purchasing, I think they're like 6,000 coal container per each. And he is a great commander because he has these enhanced skills, but I can move him around on my premium ships. So like I can move him on Leon. That's another way for me to grind and getting him up. So actually, if I send him to the reserve, and then I use Venezia or Luigi Sansonetti, so I can grind my Venezia Commander also on the Leon, because I worked on grinding him up Amalfi, Brindisi to Venezia. So I'm actually weak. I don't have many high point commanders in the Italian tech tree, so this is something I have to work on. Or as example, I think my Germans are a bit better. So if I hop over to Schroeder, so you can see I have Luchins. He's for 175,000 coal. You can pick him up from the armory. And if I go change commander, you can see I have some more higher tech or skill point commanders, right? So then you're becoming more experienced as an intermediate player in the game, and not only having all your commanders be high skilled for one nation in the game, but you want to start doing this for multiple different nations in the game as you amass new ships in the game. Also, as I said, for newer beginner players, is utilize the campaigns. There are different campaigns, especially the Yamamoto Isuroku, the hit hard, hit fast, hit often. Your ultimate reward, of course, in this one is picking up Halsey, and he's a 15-point commander. The same for the Yamamoto Isuroku campaign. You pick up a 15-point Yamamoto Isuroku commander, and these commanders are really nice, and it's really, you don't begin to be able to grind these two campaigns in particular until you've become more of an intermediate player because of more of the requirements. So here, I have to play tier 9, tier 10, or super ship and being able to get this. But you'll also find, if we come across them here, some of the rewards you'll get will be Elite Commander XP. You also get the expendable bonuses for commanders. Commander XP plus 200%, right? So that's super convenient. And here is 25,000 Elite Commander XP. So target the campaigns to try work on finishing these different tasks off for these campaigns, and then specifically targeting them for the different rewards that they give. And this is going to help you a lot. And escape key is not working for me to get out of all this. And now we're going to transition over to more veteran players. I'm becoming more of a veteran player. I don't know how confident I can say that I'm like, yeah, hardcore veteran player of the game. I've only been playing the game for over 2.5 years. As I learn more things, my skill increases as I become better and better in the game. But this is some things I would say that veteran players, in terms of the challenge, you're going to find is not too difficult of a challenge. And because as they amass more ships in the game, as they are amassing more 21-point commanders, it's pretty typical that for more veteran players in the game, that they're playing their different ships in the game, that they can simply keep moving around their 21-point commanders on. So this means that they're earning actually a lot of Elite Commander XP. And you can just see here, I had Luchins on GK, I had him on Schroeder, I use him for Jaeger. I don't actually know if I use him for Odin. I think I do. I have to look. Yeah. So I've accumulated more of these ships, and so I'm just playing with this 21 point commander all over the place. And alternatively, right, so my Prinz Ruprecht commander, he's 17 points. I could start utilizing my Prinz Ruprecht commander and moving him around on the different premium German ships that I have in the game. That's not difficult to do. So as a veteran player, you're often playing a lot of your favorite ships, which translates to that you typically have more 21 point commanders, or at least very high skilled point commanders. So I play a lot of American ships. You can see I really focus on earning and collecting them. So if I come back over here to my Montana, you can see he's an 18 point commander, but I switch around, you can see my Halsey, I play on several different ships in the game. I'm playing Illinois, I got the Gearing, got the Worcester, even my tier 5 Nicholas, because it's a very fantastic ship. You can see I have him up to 17 point commander, and I've just been pretty much only playing him on Nicholas. And then, of course, here's my Massachusetts commander. He was on here, I think. I don't know if I've actually put Halsey. Yeah, I've been using Halsey now on Massachusetts. So then I have a lot of more higher skilled point commanders in my American tech tree, because I just really enjoy playing the American ships. And so, again, you can see Halsey's moving around a lot of ships as well, which means I'm earning a lot of Elite Commander XP pretty quickly. Like, I've been hitting 1 million again and again and again and again. And the next thing I wanted to say with this is that Elite Commander XP flows abundantly, right? And I've already been talking about this because of just playing your favorite ships, and then you typically have more of your high skilled floor commanders on your favorite ships in the game. So for a veteran player, it's not too difficult. It's still a grind, but it's not too difficult. For example, if I just focused on playing Yu Yang for the next week or less, depending on how much economic bonuses I'm going to use for him, I can get him up to 21 point commander pretty quickly. That's not a sweat. I just have to play this ship consistently and not hop around playing different ships. I just enjoy playing different ships in the game. Also, of course, as a veteran player, you're utilizing your expendable bonuses. So I actually have never used any of the unique expendable bonuses, because I think when we started off, Wargaming gave me 3 of each. And this has been since they've done the economic rework, which happened, was that in the fall? I don't even remember now. So you can see I've gone from 3 to 13, and then here I have most in terms of the free XP. So I could actually flex on using some of these, to go from 200% to 1600%. That's going to be quite a lot of Elite Commander XP that I'm going to earn here, but I don't have a bonus package. I don't have the permanent bonus here on Yu Yang. So then I'm kind of missing out on that 100% additional Commander XP I have, but that's not a big deal because it's going to cost me 4,800 doubloons, and I'm like, nah, I'll just mostly use my rare expendable bonuses. If I really want to focus on getting Yu Yang up to a 21 point commander, and it might be that even with my Yu Yang commander, I could get him, let's say he's at level 20 and I'm 500,000 of 700,000. Then I might just go ahead and blow 200,000 the Commander XP to finish off getting him to a elite commander. Yeah. Also, the next thing is that it's, because this is a little early, but in saying this, but it's going to be possible to use free XP also for veteran players more easily. So if you've wiped your Elite Commander XP balance, then you can begin utilizing your free XP as well. But typically, veteran players tend to want to have some Elite Commander XP in their pocket to use. You can see I don't have a lot of free XP because I just picked up Hayate for 2 million free XP last night, as I'm recording this video on Monday. So then I don't have a lot to use right now, but I actually can build this up again pretty easily. But because of what's happening is that Wargaming is going to be taking away what free XP ships we have remaining. So for Netherlands, the Groningen soon going to be moving to coal. The Hate is going to soon be moving to coal in the armory, as well as Azuma. Alaska used to be here. Used to have Nelson in the tech tree that you could pick up for, I think it's 375,000 free XP. So it's not going to be these, you're not going to have that building up free XP to pick up free XP ships like we used to be able to. So then for more veteran players, they can use that for more of the commander, in reaching 21-point commanders, or using them just to simply grind, or using for the research bureau. And I did mention this already, but veteran players abuse more of their special premium ships. So if I pull up my special premium ships here, as we go across, have a good handful. Of course, I'm no whale in the game. I have 223 ships in total, and I can have a lot more, as there's a lot more that I need to grind for. But they utilize their I keep saying free XP ships. They keep utilizing their premium ships and building up to the 21-point commanders more swiftly. And also, as I mentioned, for intermediate players, but this is becoming more and more of a thing for a veteran player. As I said for myself, I feel like I'm becoming more from an intermediate to more of a veteran player in the game, is that they start building up higher point commanders of different nations, just as we went over with the Venezia. I'm pretty low in terms of having high skilled point commanders in the Italian tech tree, because I don't have a lot of Italian ships in the Italian tech tree. This is all that I have. I actually need to spend some more time here. The same thing I would say for the Germans. If I go to the tech tree here, you can see that I haven't, go to Germany. I haven't gone up the German destroyer tech tree. I don't even have Z52 yet. I really want that. I've gone up both the battleship lines. I haven't picked up Hindenburg yet. So when I look at my commanders here, in the German tech tree, hop over to Preußen, click change commanders. I have more commanders here, higher skilled point commanders than I do for my Italian tech tree, but it's still not the best. So this is something as a veteran player I'm working more on, just because there's constantly new ship lines being added to the game. And even though I've been playing for over 2.5 years, I take breaks from the game, like 5-day breaks periodically, and there's some days I just miss. And I really enjoy playing a lot of ships I already have. So that means I'm not too focused on grinding newer ship lines in the game. I still am for the new player guide series, but it's just taking me a longer time to do so, because I've been grinding up actually 2 or 3 different tech trees right now, or ship lines in different tech trees, like the new hybrid American battleships, as I just got Delaware. And not too long ago I picked up Kremlin, not too long ago I picked up Venezia, and then now I'm about to get St. Vincent after I grind to Duncan more. So as a veteran player, you're working on building up even more 21-point commanders for your different nations of ships. And that's kind of where I'm at, and because of that reason, that's why I kind of refer to myself as maybe I'm more of an intermediate player to a veteran player right now. But also, when you look at in terms of performance in the game or number of battles, random battles, I only have 3,300 random battles, but 63% win rates. And so I have a lot more to do. Of course, I have a lot of ops in here, ranked over 1,000, co-op, because I spent a good amount of time in co-op when I first started playing in the game. 3,000, so 3, 6, 9, 9.2, and then there's nothing for ops here. I have over 10,000 battles in total in the game. Actually, maybe even 11,000 because of the different airship escorts. Arms race used to be its own separate battle type, and so those don't get counted. So becoming more intermediate to veteran player, but I hope breaking these different categories down has helped you, because I've hit almost 40 minutes now, and I was hoping to maybe only spend 10 minutes for each player level, but hopefully this has been all right for you. I will put notes in on the bottom or timestamps. So if you just want to hop around, depending on where it may be relevant for you as a player, or if you're transitioning from you think from a beginner to an intermediate player, then some things to keep in mind when you become an intermediate player in the game. So all said and done, I hope you didn't mind me blabbering. There's a lot of different things I was processing, trying to tell you, and hopefully that you'll find this helpful. And if you have questions in the comments below, please do so. If there's something that you as a player in the game have found very helpful that I didn't even mention as a tip or very helpful advice, please do so in the comments below. You know, something like ops. Ops is very helpful in building up 21-point commanders, being snares, operations, battle type, so on and so forth. And you really won't find much use grinding commanders in co-op because you get so little reward in co-op. So that's, I guess, the big thing I didn't say is don't work on grinding commanders in co-op because it'll take you much more longer versus playing a randoms battle. Even if you lose a randoms battle, you're going to earn more commander XP than if you would have played a co-op battle. So with all that being said, utilize the comments, but if you liked today's video, give a thumbs up. If you didn't, give a thumbs down. Subscribe if you do want to see more. If you subscribe, thanks so much. I really appreciate it, and we'll catch you next time. Take care.